For further analysis, we're joined from Cairo by the director of the Catholic Center for Cinema in Egypt, Father Boutros Daniel. Welcome to QNews, sir, and of course, we congratulate all the Catholics all around the world, the 1.4 million that we just mentioned. What factors typically influence the Cardinal's decision when electing a new Pope, sir, and how might those factors have played a role in this election?
First of all, I would like to congratulate the entire world because the Pope is for the entire world, all religions, all beliefs. The Pope always has an objective to cultivate peace around the world. And he will follow in the footsteps of Cardinal Valdivie, and he's like the prime minister and a very important diplomat who enjoys a lot of relations with officials from around the globe. He has the language of the entire world, and he will follow in the footsteps of Pope Francis to spread solidarity and peace for the entire world. And when choosing the Pope, and sometimes they have reforms in mind or other things. They chose the Pope with wisdom and very quickly. In only 24 hours, the new Pope was chosen, and that's why I congratulate the entire world.
Sir, can you please explain the significance of the Room of Tears in the moment of reflection that the newly elected Pope experiences before making their public appearance?
Of course, he is being celebrated first between the cardinals, and then he will come out of this window to bless the entire gathering, and then he will announce the new program inside the Vatican, and he will hold a mass to celebrate his election. And these are very important steps that help any pope with his consultants and his cardinals how to achieve and prevail peace, how to follow in the footsteps of Pope Francis. Even in his visits, Pope Francis, God rest his soul, he intended to visit some regions, and now the new Pope will continue these visits.
Sir, sorry for the interruption, but we need to take the words and the speech of the new Pope that was just, of course, recognized as the Pope of the Vatican.
Ac reverendissimum Dominum, Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost, qui sibi nomen imposuit Leonem XIV.
And for further analysis, we're joined from the Vatican by the journalist Mohammed Youssef. Welcome to QNews, sir, and congratulations. What factors typically influence the Cardinals' decisions when electing a new pope, and how might these factors have played a role in this election, sir?
Of course, I would like to welcome you and the dear viewers. A political world situation now necessitates choosing a pope who's well aware of the entire world events and developments, and that's why these conditions apply, or the situations apply to the Secretary General of the Vatican, or the Secretary of the Vatican, Father Pietro Parolin, or Cardinal Pietro Parolin, or the Matron of Jerusalem, Pizzaballa, who gave as well to Pope Francisco that he will take over after his passing, and consequently the votes or the expectations are limited to these two: Pietro Parolin, the Secretary General of Vatican, and Pizzaballa, Matron of Jerusalem, who was in the Vatican for 30 years, in Jerusalem, pardon, and he was well aware of the Middle East situation, where now the world now is witnessing a lot of difficult conditions, um, like the Third World War, which was warned by Pope Francis when he assumed office in 2013, and the world is seeing this the expected war, which was warned by Pope Francis. Since he took place in 2013 till his passing, Pope Francis also always communicated with the Gaza for the and that's why the expectations are going for him, or Cardinal Pedro Parolin. Cardinal Pedro has the better luck because he entered these elections with around 50 votes from 89 votes that he should have had. That's why he had a better luck to win the elections, and that's why I expect him to be announced as the new pope during the coming few minutes. Till the oldest Vatican Cardinal.
Sir, Cardinal Robert Prevost is elected as the new Pope of the Vatican. And of course, sir, it's worth to mention that he is seen overall as a centrist on some key social issues. He's viewed as progressive, and he has long embraced marginalized groups, a lot like Pope Francis, who passed away, who championed migrants and the poor. Sir, can you discuss any specific challenges Cardinal Prevost might face as he steps into the role of Pope, especially in today's rapidly changing world?
Actually, the situation in the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, the war in Gaza in particular, and the immigrants around the world, and the policies being adopted by far-right parties around the world against migrants. These are the situations that the new Pope will have to deal with. The African problems, starvations and famines around the globe, and the ongoing tensions between Pakistan and India, and also in Europe and in other states. There are hotbeds for conflicts and wars that the new Pope should tackle, and he shall also endeavor to prevail peace in these areas, and therefore these situations around the globe should be dealt with as soon as possible, so that the world is not exposed to a new nuclear war. The biggest challenge for the Pope regarding what is happening, or the marginalized and the most vulnerable groups around the world, will be addressed by the church once again, as called for by Pope Francis, and studying the cases of children who were exposed to different violations. There was a press conference in the foreign media regarding these situations, and 3,000 children in Italy were exposed to violations in Italy. These events and incidents should be dealt with in France and Italy and the rest of the European states, where children were exposed to violations from religious characters. He can also face the challenge of the conflict between China and the US and the other conflicts. The Vatican Pope must have a stance to these conflicts. There are many challenges. There is the humanitarian brotherhood that was signed by Pope Francis and the Grand Sheikh of Azhar, Dr. Ahmad al-Tayyib, with the sponsorship of His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Zayed, the President of the United Arab Emirates. Therefore, all of this must be continued. The path of Pope Francis must be continued until peace wins in the distressed areas. There are conflicts with Iran and the neighboring countries, with Israel and the neighboring countries. These conflicts must be ended as soon as possible, so the Pope's mission will be very difficult.
Of course, no doubt that we congratulate all the Catholics all around the world and all the Christians around the world for the election of the new, of course, Cardinal, which is Robert Prevost, which is an American from the Vatican. That was journalist Dr. Mohammed Youssef. Thank you very much for joining QNews and for your narrative and informative knowledge. This concludes our live coverage for the hour, which brought you minute-by-minute coverage of the election of the new Pope of the Vatican. Don't forget to follow QNews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNews to stay informed. Thank you very much for watching, and dear viewers, this ends our transmission for today. Until we see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. car local time, it's goodbye.